Hello, my name is Sophie and welcome to this week's video. This week I thought I would talk about organisation because it's something that I love and I'm obsessed with, and I pride myself in being a really organised person. I thought I'd take you through all my little tips and tricks to see if, I don't know, they might inspire you, they might give you some ideas on how to shake up your organisation. This is something that is constantly changing. My main source of organisation is my bullet journal. I use the Leuchtturm 1917. I still don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like a nearly A5. It might be A5, I'm not sure. Dotted journal, and they're great. And this is my fourth one. I've been doing it since 2017, and it's completely revolutionised how I think about my organisation. I thought I'd take you through step by step, kind of how I start with my bullet journal, what other lists I make, what other apps I use, and just tell you what's going on. First things first, we start with the bullet journal. This is kind of my go-to for everything. This and one other thing that I have on my laptop are kind of my starting point for everything to do with the organisation and day-to-day aspects of my life. So at the beginning I've got all my monthly spreads. It's just a list of all the dates in the month so I can keep a note of anything that's going on at the end of the year or anything I need to keep track of. I've got my 2020 goals, savings plans, weight trackers, 5-year plans, kind of admin stuff at the beginning, and then we get into the monthly stuff. I'm going to skip over January because it's February. So in my February section, at the beginning of the month I have a kind of, I like to think of it as a sort of bookmark for spreads that are relevant throughout the whole month, and then we get into the weekly stuff. So I've got my monthly goals where I have 5 things that I want to achieve in the month, and then like 2 ongoing monthly challenges. This month was a mixed bag. And then I've got my content plan on the other side, again a mixed bag but work in progress. Then to flip it over, I've got my February finances. Sometimes I get confused when I'm setting up the finance pages because I copy all my bills over from the previous month, and I wrote January, so there's that. This is something I started doing when I really wanted to control my spending in 2018, and I find writing everything down makes me very aware of what I'm spending, and sometimes it helps me not spend, sometimes it doesn't. We're working on it. And then, oh, I've got a list of my assignments for my masters, but that's not normally, I don't do that every month, that was just a one-off. And then we get into the weekly spreads. I'm gonna flip to the blank one because that's kind of the point of this video, is how I set up my weeklies from scratch. I've been refining how my weekly spreads look for how many years? This is my 4th book and I'm entering into my 4th year of bullet journaling, and my weekly spreads now look very, very different to the first one I did in my first bullet journal. But this is what's working for me at the moment. When I'm not doing a master's, it might be slightly different. When I get a full-time job, it might be slightly different. That's one of my favourite things about bullet journaling, is that you can design the diary to be whatever you want it to be. I've never found a pre-designed diary that has everything I want and the flexibility I want, which is what I love about this. So on the left-hand page, on the far left, I have little tick boxes for a weekly to-do list. So this is an overarching list of things that I want to achieve during the week, or things I have to do. So I have the days I'm going into uni, any medical appointments or any other appointments, any going to meet friends, blog posts, videos, an overarching list which I then can assign the tasks to the day-by-day bit on the other side. And then the other bit on the left-hand page is my February goals. I like having them on every weekly spread just because it keeps them on the forefront of my mind, and it just means I can check in regularly, because I think one of the most important parts of goal setting is reflection, and not necessarily looking back and being disappointed if you've not done it, but being able to say, right, this is why I didn't achieve something, this is what I'm going to do to achieve it, and then moving on and making changes for the future. In practice, it's not as simple as that, but you know, in theory, that's how it goes. At the bottom of the page, I have a little square for the content I want to make that week and any notes about anything else content related. Then on the right hand side of the page we have it split into 9 boxes. The medium boxes are for each day of the week. Normally I do write the days of the week and I seem to have forgotten to on this one, which is funny. And then I have a bigger box for any notes for things I want to do the following week, and then that will go onto my weekly to-do list for the following week. And then just a little box at the bottom. It's basically some filler space, because sometimes in other spreads I've made the Sunday box bigger to fill the page, but what happens is I just keep assigning myself too many tasks and then I've got loads of overarching things going into the next week. So I've changed it so that Sunday is the same size as every other day of the week, and then I just have a little asterisk maybe if some of the tasks are too long to fit in a line, or if there's more details that I need to keep track of. This is the last week of February and the first day of March, so I thought I would show you the blank setup for my March bookmark, if we're going to call it that. So I've got my goals on the left hand page. I didn't count the squares right on the goals page, so there's a little gap at the bottom, but that's what comes with bullet journaling. It's just one of those things. Maybe I'll put some stickers in or something like that. And then I've got my March content on the other side. I like to use different coloured highlighters to kind of select what days I'm going to post what content. And then I'll fill it in when I have time. That's one of the tasks I've assigned to do next week. And then my blank March finances. I could do a whole video on money, but at the moment it's kind of, I'm in a low period, so now's not the time. But if you would like a video on how I track my finances and how I save and stuff, I'm not saving at the moment, but I was really proud of my saving in 2019. So if you would like to hear about that, let me know. And that's all of the spreads I have planned for this week. But I thought I would talk you through how I take my weekly bullet journal spread and translate that into actually getting stuff done. So the weekly bullet journal spread is like page 1 of how I get things done. So there's the overarching to-do list, and then when I'm filling in each day box, I will start with my 1 second everyday videos. Next I put in the days I'm at uni, any appointments I have, and plan when I'm going to make my content. So generally I write down the days I want to publish the content or upload a video, and then for my blog I have the day before to draft it, and then for my videos I have a day to film. I don't spend a whole day filming, but I film on one day, edit on another day, and upload and do all the metadata on another day. This is mildly optimistic. Quite often I end up filming and editing at the same time, or filming and then editing, uploading at the same time, but we plan the time and then we adapt that later. That's a later stage. So we divide up all the tasks. I say we. I divide up all the tasks from the weekly list into daily lists, and then I've started digitizing the daily lists, because whilst I do take my bullet journal everywhere, having it open and referring to it all the time can get a bit annoying, especially if I'm like in the supermarket or something, or I'm on a bus and I'm like, oh, let me just check what I'm doing today. I'm not going to get the book out. So on recommendation from Hannah Witten, because she made a video about it earlier this year, I'll leave a link to it in the description if you're interested, I started using an app called Todoist. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's essentially just a digital to-do list. There's a computer app and a phone app which then synchronise, so you've not got 2 separate lists. It just means you can put tasks in on a day-by-day basis, and you can set what priority they are. If you have any appointments with times, you can set reminders and alarms. You can set things into different projects, I think they're called. So if I have a uni related task, or I'm doing uni work, or I have to be in a class, then that goes in the uni project. And it's just a way to digitally tick things off. And for me, writing things out multiple times, i.e. writing it in my bullet journal and then copying it into Todoist, kind of cements it in my brain and helps me figure out like how I'm going to plan my time and what I need to achieve and when. And also being able to tick things off in more than one place is really satisfying. I also have another notebook just floating around. These mostly because I have a lot of notebooks and I like writing things out several times, as I've already mentioned. So something I've been doing recently that I found has really helped me is by like actually scheduling my whole day. So the thing I find helps my productivity the most is not having to make a decision. I'm awful at decision making, and if a past version of me has already made all the decisions and I just need to get up and do stuff and I know what I'm doing and when, I find it's much easier to actually get stuff done. And also, if you've got a huge task that's really overwhelming, maybe like a uni essay or something, or you need to clean your house, but the cleaning aisle in Asda is really overwhelming and the thought of cleaning your bathroom just suddenly feels like a lot. I really hope that's not just me, otherwise it makes me sound really gross. But allotting an hour, just 1 hour, to do one of those tasks and like really focus in. And with uni work, maybe it's making a broken down list of the steps you need to take from get from A to B, rather than just seeing it as a whole. And you can apply that to anything really, but just working on it for an hour I find is really, really beneficial, because one, either it only takes you 10 minutes and then you have 50 minutes to do whatever you want because you've done the thing that you assigned to do in that hour. So you either get 50 minutes of watching YouTube, or you can start on the next task and you feel even better because then technically you're ahead of your schedule and you're even more productive, which is great. Or you do an hour's work on the task and you know you can stop because you've done your hour and that's all you needed to do. And I just find even if after that hour there's still a lot of work to be done, I feel a lot better because I have done that hour of work and I feel a bit more confident in what I need to do next. Other than that, there are 2 calendars that I refer to semi-regularly, like every day. I found this like A2 sized calendar in Flying Tiger when I was in Oxford a few weeks ago, and I just thought it would be perfect for planning my uni work. So I use it exclusively for uni related things. So when all my classes are, when all my deadlines are, and then on OneNote, which I'll get to in a minute, I have a list of all my assignments and like at least 5 steps I need to take to achieve that assignment to handing in. So that big calendar is the one I use to assign myself tasks, to work on all my assignments over time. And then the last thing I use for organisation is OneNote. It's another app. OneNote is an app that I found because when I swapped out my iPhone for an Android phone, I missed having the Notes app. Because I have a MacBook, having my iPhone and the Notes app meant that it would synchronise between the two. And moving away from an Apple phone, I lost that, so I was looking for a replacement. There are 2 Notes apps that I use. Evernote I kind of use for general lists, so I've got a script for, not a script, some notes for this video. My weekly to-do lists are on there. My meal plans are on there, but kind of longer lists like that. And then OneNote I use for uni work, so I've got what are they called, like a notebook? There's different terminology, but you can essentially have lists within lists. So you have a notebook, which I have digital media production, which is my master's course, and then I have, let's call it a chapter for like each unit, and then like general stuff and my dissertation at the bottom, and then within those chapters I have different pages. So it's good for taking notes on a week by week basis, because you can just go into the unit you want, you go into the degree, you go into the unit you want, then you make a new one for every week's notes. And in there I have a kind of homemade calendar, if we're going to call it that. It's just a table which is 7 across for every day of the week, and then I can add as many rows as I like. Rows? Columns. I get those confused all the time. I can go as far in advance as I like. I currently go up to May because that's when my actual classes finish, and that's when full-on dissertation time starts in semester 3. I have everything on here, so I've got all my classes. My boyfriend works in TV broadcast, so he's away a lot, filming sport predominantly. So like this weekend he's in Chelsea in London, so I've got all of his kind of work schedule on here. Like anything, social engagements is the word that came to mind. I'm going to a wedding fair with my mum this weekend. I need to return some media equipment to uni on Monday. Like anything and everything goes in this calendar, and it's another thing of repetition, because then I can kind of have a diary meeting with myself and sync up that calendar and the one in my bullet journal and my uni one, and it feels a bit excessive, and sometimes it can be a little overwhelming to have so much of the same thing in different places. But at the moment it's working pretty well, because I have to keep really on top to make sure everything is up to date, which brings back the repetition thing, which means things stick in my brain better. And I think that's everything to do with my organisation. Obviously it's not perfect. No one's organised 100% of the time. No one is productive every single day. Today is actually one of my least productive days ever, because I actually went out last night and I didn't get home until 2 AM and I didn't get into bed till 3 AM, so I let myself sleep until 10 and I didn't really do anything until 2. So I'm not perfect, nobody's perfect, but this is working really well for me at the moment, and it's helping me and my mental health to keep on top of things as much as it is actually helping me get stuff done. So that's how I organise. I've been blabbering on for ages, so I have no idea how long this video is going to be in the edit, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you do like this kind of content and you want to see anything else, do let me know, because realistically I could make a whole channel based exclusively on organisation content. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!